NFL season. It's already been 1 month of games. That is kind of crazy to think about. Okay, let's just hop right into it because it's very late for me. I had a work function today, so I was at work like 2 hours later than my usual shift would be. So I'm very, very tired, but hey. Let me adjust, there we go. Okay. So here we have all of the games for this week, as you can see so far. 52% this season. Now, this game, I only got a little bit of it. I only really watched the first half. I did predict that the Giants would win this game. They did win the game, so we start the week off with a W. But like I said, I only watched the first half, unfortunately. 20-15 is your final score. And the Cowboys were 5.5-point favorites. So you're gonna have some people that are very, very, very upset about that one. Yeah, the Giants are 1-3. They got their win last week, I believe. Who did they have last week? Yeah, they beat Cleveland, and Daniel Jones actually had a pretty solid game last week. But this week he did not look good. He did not throw a single touchdown this week. Yeah, it was just all field goals. Oh, touchdowns left. Okay, sorry, I was confused by the way this was laid out. And Dak Prescott had a somewhat quiet game as well. 22 for 27 for Dak. 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Daniel Jones has 29 completions on 40 attempts, 281 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Steelers versus Colts now, unfortunately here. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson leaves the game. Well, he leaves the game twice. So he leaves the game, he goes down with what looks like a shoulder injury. He goes to the sideline, he gets checked out. He comes back into the game. And the play call is a designed quarterback run on his first playback. To me, that feels a little bit irresponsible, especially because this is a guy that had injury issues last season, and then he goes to the sideline. His shoulder is an issue, and he goes down. He has to be taken out of the game. And Joe Flacco comes in. Joe Flacco will complete the game and ultimately get the win. I predicted. Well, that's awkward. When I do my prediction videos, when I'm done, I write down on a little post-it note all the teams that I picked, so I don't forget when it comes time to do the review. But I didn't write down my pick for this game, Steelers versus Colts, so hold on. Okay, as I assumed, I did pick the Steelers to win that game, so that is an L for me. But Joe Flacco, kind of in a repeat of what he did last year with the has a pretty solid game. Didn't honestly do too much. But it's the W. 24-27 in favor of the Colts. Justin Fields, though, had a monster game, it has to be said. He is really flourishing in Pittsburgh. 22 completions on 34 attempts for Justin Fields, 312 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, but he also had 2 rushing touchdowns and no interceptions. Joe Flacco, 16 completions on 26 attempts, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he gets the win there as well. Now, Vikings versus Packers. I picked the Vikings. I kind of waffled on it back and forth, like, it's in Lambeau. Should I actually pick the Packers? I didn't realize at the time that I did that prediction that this was going to be Jordan Love's game back. I thought he'd still have the backup in there. I don't know if that just wasn't released or I didn't pay attention, whatever it was, but this was Jordan Love's game back from injury. If I would have known that, I definitely would have picked the Packers, so I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the Vikings get the W, 31-29. And this Vikings team has started the season 4-0 with Sam Darnold at quarterback, and I am convinced that they have the best overall coaching in the entire league right now. I just, the offensive schemes, the offensive play calling is elite. The defensive schemes are elite. Flores, his defense is so good, like top to bottom. The team just plays smart football, and it's, pretty nice to watch. It's good football to watch. And with this coaching and the talent that they have, I think this Vikings team might be the best team in the NFC at the moment. They definitely, at the very least, we don't want to say they have the best coaching in the league. I think they have the best coaching in the NFC. I think this is a team that could go deep. They have definitely shocked me. I did not have these kind of expectations for the Vikings coming into this season whatsoever. I'm willing to take that one on the chin. And Jordan Addison did come back this game. He was a guy, like I said, I was concerned about him being out. And he was a major reason that I was low on the Vikings start of the season. He came back, I think, maybe a little bit earlier than expected. He had 2 touchdowns this game, so immediately makes a solid impact there. And his 14 points, obviously, in a 2-point victory were very important. Sam Darnold has 20 completions on 28 attempts. He has 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jordan Love, 32 completions on 54 attempts, 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Now again, in a 2-point loss, those 3 interceptions are really going to be felt. But to Jordan Love's credit, they were down 28-7 going into halftime, so that's why he threw the ball 54 times. And he probably was making riskier throws than he usually would to try and make that play to turn the game around. So I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. But this Vikings team is, I'm happy to have been wrong about them because I do quite like the Vikings. And Sam Darnold, what a great story for him. Jaguars Texans, I picked the Texans here to get the win, and at this point I don't even know what to say about the Jaguars. It feels like they just might need to pull the plug on it. One of my big complaints about the Jaguars is not letting Trevor Lawrence throw enough. this week they let him throw 33 times, and they still don't get the job done. Now, I mean, this is still an elite Houston team, but starting the season 0-4 after the sort of season they had last year, where things were looking up. That last season, you felt like maybe the future would be brighter for the Jaguars, and then now this season it's all gone off a cliff. I think I saw today that Trevor Lawrence has not won a game since Thanksgiving, November last year. And it's just brutal. For this Jaguars team, like I said, I really don't know what to say at this point. It just kind of is what it is, and I wish it wasn't. I like the Jaguars, and I thought they would be better than this, but they're just not. Lawrence has 18 completions on 33 attempts, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. C.J. Stroud, 27 completions on 40 attempts, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Saints versus Falcons. Now, this game, it started off not looking great for Atlanta. The game starts off with the fumble, like a fumble of a punt return into a touchdown. Not looking good for the Saints. And then Taysom Hill gets one back. Then Taysom Hill gets another rushing touchdown. So they're still sort of doing that thing they did last year, where he's coming in just for the rushes. Then Derek Carr to pick 6. I was watching bits and pieces of this game, not the entire thing, but I saw the pick 6, and then I was like, okay, well, now the Falcons are back into it. And again, okay, so Derek Carr, like I said, he used to do this thing where he would have one good game, one bad game, one good game, one bad game. Then this year he had 2 good games in a row. Now he's had 2 bad games in a row. So I reckon next week Derek Carr's gonna have a good game. But then the game is decided on the Younghoe Koo 58-yard field goal. Koo has become one of my favorite players in the league over these last few years. Just because of how clutch he is, how good he is from long range. I don't know why, there's just something. Like every time he goes out to kick, especially when it's like 50 plus yards, like you even feel confident. I don't know, like, I'm not a Falcons fan, but if I was ever going to get a Falcons jersey, I most definitely would get a Koo jersey. But I picked the Falcons to win this game, and they do. They and the Saints are both 2-2. But a pretty bad game from our 2 QBs overall. Derek Carr 28 for 36, 239 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Kirko goes 21 for 35, 230 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. Rams Bears. I thought the Rams would win this. They did not. I have a lot of, I've had a lot of faith in the Rams offense coming into this season and through this season. Their offense has been pretty potent all year long, even as they've been, struggling in some other areas. I thought they looked better than their record. And the Bears have had a really, really good defense so far, but I thought that their offensive line, Caleb has struggled, although as I said a few times, he has looked better game over game. He looked comfortable in this game as well, it has to be said. He played a pretty just steady game overall. And, made smart plays this game. He looked more comfortable. defense not pressuring him as much as maybe some other teams he's faced so far have. I don't know, but the Bears get the win. That's all that matters here. 18-24. Stafford, 20 completions on 29 attempts, 224 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Caleb Williams, 17 for 23, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Now Eagles, Bucks. I picked the Eagles here, and the Buccaneers won, and I should have known because the Buccaneers gave issues to the Eagles last season. I think last season the Buccaneers beat them as well in a game that the Eagles were quite heavily favored. And I saw a lot of criticism of Jalen Hurts. Now, you guys know I've not been the biggest Jalen Hurts fan, but in my opinion, I feel like more criticism needs to be going against Sirianni. Like Sirianni, I feel like his playbook is just kind of like figured out by this point. It feels like the Eagles aren't showing defenses anything new, anything different. It just kind of feels like they have a very predictable offense. And I saw this stat today. I want to get it right, so let me see if I can find the tweet again. The Eagles, the Eagles have only won the turnover battle twice in the last 20 games. Twice. So the ball's just being turned over way too much. I think some of that's on Jalen, but a lot of that is coaching and just being like, hey, don't do this. But man, the Buccaneers came this game strong. They opened this up 24-7 going into halftime. Cooled off a little bit, but each team only put up 9 in the second half, so. But again, Saquon had another great game. Saquon Barkley has been a really good pickup for this Eagles team. I know he had the one drop, but the 2 games since then, he's had really great games, and he's been an integral part of this offense. So, 16-33 in favor of the Buccaneers. Jalen Hurts, 18 completions on 30 attempts, 158 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, no picks. Baker Mayfield, 30 for 47, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, so a nice bounce back game for Baker. Now I know that the top 2 wide receivers for the Eagles were both out this game, so obviously that's going to have an impact if your 2 best, receiving targets are gone. But I don't know, but you still have to, I feel like, perform better than that. Bengals Panthers. I was very pessimistic on the Bengals after last week. I said that I thought it's very possible they lose to Andy Dalton's Panthers. After Andy Dalton, when he comes in getting the nod over Bryce Young, absolutely carves up his first game back off the couch. But the Bengals do not fall to 0-4. They get their first win of the season to go 1-3. 34-24 in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has 22 completions on 31 attempts, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Andy Dalton has 25 completions on 40 attempts, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Broncos, Jets. Now this game. I picked the Jets here. This is an ugly, ugly loss for the Jets. This is a really bad loss for the Jets. And this is a great win for Denver. If you can call it a great win. So Bo Nix had 60 passing yards in this game. Aaron Rodgers had 225 passing yards. The Denver, I almost call them the Denver Nuggets, the Denver Broncos had 186 total yards of offense. So Aaron Rodgers threw for 225 yards, but the Jets only rushed for 64. The Jets lost 90 yards to penalties. Just 4 for 17 on third downs. This Jets team, they went toe-to-toe with the 49ers to start the season. Then they had 2 really good wins, and they looked absolutely elite the last 2 weeks. And then they come out here and lose 10-9. They put up 9 points against this Denver team who has not been good. And they lost to a quarterback who threw for 60 yards. Bo Nix is throwing more checkdowns than any other quarterback in the league. And they lost to that guy when they have Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. This was a bad loss for the Jets. Commanders, Cardinals, at least I could finally get another W here. I predicted the Commanders to win this. I was so impressed watching the Commanders last week, watching Jaden Daniels. I wasn't able to watch the Commanders week 1, week 2, but week 3 I watched that entire game. And like I said last week, what really stood out to me is how composed he is. Calm under pressure. He has a very veteran presence about him, very steady. And I was like, this is a quarterback I really like, Jaden Daniels. And so I was like, I'm going to pick them to win. And they did. 42-14. Jaden Daniels had 26 completions on 30 attempts, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Kyler Murray, 16 completions on 22 attempts, 142 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick. And again, McLaurin, he gets targeted 10 times. You see that connection to McLaurin. 52 yards for him. It has to be said, though, Marvin Harrison has made a huge impact on this Arizona team. I think he's had a touchdown every week except for week 1, but I think he's had touchdowns 3 weeks straight now, which is pretty cool. But no, I'm a really big fan of Jaden Daniels. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch this game, but what's funny is the Commanders were a team I ended up watching a lot of last year, just incidentally. Like, the times of their games lined up well for me. But I have a feeling I'm going to try to seek out some more of their games this year, just to watch him play some more. I'm a big fan of that offense. Patriots, Niners, I picked the Niners here. They do get the win, but we get some Niners fans get some bad news. Christian McCaffrey, they have updated his injury status, so he missed obviously the first 4 weeks of the year. He was put on IR, but they just announced today that he is dealing with, I want to make sure I find the where is it? Achilles tendonitis in both of his legs. So both of Christian McCaffrey's legs has Achilles tendonitis. And I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if it's a degenerative thing. I don't know if it's something similar to like what Kawhi Leonard is dealing with in the NFL. But it's looking very possible that he's not going to play either until like later in the season, quite a bit later. He might not play at all. So that's a big blow to the 49ers. They do get the win here, though, against the New England Patriots. Jacoby Brissett, 19 for 32, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That interception happened to be a pick six. And then Brock Purdy goes 15 for 27, 288 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Browns, Raiders. I picked the Raiders here. I just really like that defense overall. The Raiders are a team I tend to overrate. I don't know if I'm trying to overcompensate for that, but I've been really impressed with them so far, even though they're 2-2, obviously, so pump the brakes a little bit, but Deshaun Watson, 24 completions on 32 attempts, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Gardner Minshew, 14 for 24, 130 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Chiefs, Chargers. I picked the Chiefs here. And they do get the win only by 7, and unfortunately for them, Rashee Rice is out, likely for the season. So again, you have a wide receiver problem for the Chiefs. And it's weird because these things keep happening to the Chiefs. Like, they only beat the Chargers by 7, and I've said it every single week. They're winning these games, but they're not super convincing wins. But somehow they're just going to keep winning, no matter how many players get hurt, no matter how shaky the offense looks. So, ultimately, in my opinion, it's not super pertinent to talk about it, because even though Mahomes had a pretty bad game, he keeps throwing more interceptions than he ever has in the past, and now their best receiver is down. I still feel like they're going to keep winning. Patrick Mahomes, 19 completions on 29 attempts, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Justin Herbert, 16 for 27, 139 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Bills, Ravens. I said during my predictions that this game had the potential to be the best game of the week, and I was right, but not for the reason that I thought. I did predict the Bills here. I was wrong about that. I thought this game was going to be a back and forth slugfest, really high scoring game, like both teams getting 30 plus. No, that's not what happened. This was a very dominant performance from the Ravens, and a very dominant performance from Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, the first score of this game was an 87-yard rush for Derrick Henry. And it's that long rush, which, by the way, is the longest rushing touchdown in Baltimore Ravens history. The dude is so big. He's so much bigger than the defenders chasing him. You're like, how is he so much faster than them when he's that big? Like, it shouldn't be physically possible. But that's how Derrick Henry is. And I feel like week after week after week, I've been waiting for, like, show me what this offense can do. Show me that 1-2 punch. Show me how deadly that Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson combo can be. And this week, the Ravens just confidently did that. I was saying, coming into this week, the Bills were probably my favorite to the Super Bowl. I thought they looked like the best team in the NFL going into this week. And the Ravens punched them in the mouth. Like I've said, I thought they've had a slow start to the season, even though they're 2-2. But this game, this feels like it could be the start of like a new, like, this might be the standard going forward for Baltimore. And if that is the case, God help us all. Josh Allen, 16 completions on 29 attempts, 180 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 13 for 18, 156 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown, no interceptions. Derrick Henry had 199 rushing yards in this game. Just absolute beast. Titans versus Dolphins. versus the Dolphins with all their injuries and whatever else. I wasn't super confident in that pick because the Titans been terrible. But they did get the win. Now Will Levis leaves this game with a shoulder injury. Shoulder injuries were very, very popular this week. And he ends up not finishing the game. Mason Rudolph ends up finishing the game. Coincidentally, the Titans get their first win of the season. Honestly, I think they would have won this no matter what, obviously. But Titans are going into a bye next week, apparently. They say that Will Levis should be good to go week 6, but we'll see. 31-12 your final score. In favor of the Tennessee Titans, and that was pretty much just all field goals. And Tony Pollard, pretty much. Mason Rudolph finishes this game for the Titans. He has 9 completions on 17 attempts. He gets 85 passing yards. No touchdowns, no picks. Tyler Huntley had 14 completions on 22 attempts. He has 96 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. If anybody sat through the entirety of this game, please, I need to pick your brain. And finally, Seahawks Lions. I picked us to win it. I knew I was being a homer. The Lions do get the win, 42-29. Now I do have to say that despite the loss, I thought the Seahawks looked pretty good, especially on offense. We were missing 5 starters on defense, and that was very apparent. Montgomery ran all over us. Our defense was completely incapable of stopping him. And that DK fumble in the first half, honestly, after the DK fumble, I felt like that even though we kind of got back into the game after that, I felt like if that didn't happen, we might have been in a better position to win this game. Just a really stupid and avoidable fumble to give up by DK Metcalf, but Jared Goff set an NFL record in this game. The most passes without an incompletion, with 18, going 18 for 18. So Jared Goff goofed all over us, as I like to call him sometimes, Jared Goof. I say that's one of my biggest issues with the Lions, is you never know which quarterback you're going to get going into a game. Is it going to be Jared Goff, or is it going to be Jared Goof? Well, this week he goofed all over us. But Geno Smith leads the entire NFL in passing yards. So, who's the real winner? The Detroit Lions. 42-29 is your final score. Geno Smith, 38 completions on 56 attempts, 395 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jared Goff, 18 completions on 18 attempts, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So there were 16 games this week. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 correct. So if I bring up my calculator, that is 56%. 25 is going to be 34 out of 50, 64. So if we go 34 and 5, 60, 64. We have 53% so far. The seasons are clawing our way back up. We seem to have one solid week with like 80% hit rate, but anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of this week of NFL games. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.